Hey guys, I'm going to continue this skull that I started the other day here on Periscope. I'm finally having a chance to get back to drawing it, but this is the progress I've made on it off camera. So last time I had started this a couple days ago, I had drawn basically just into the shadows right here, and over the course of the next day or so, I added some of this rendering in to the sides, and I've added extra values in right here. So I established these darker chunks of shadow, and that's going to be somewhat the mid-range here. Anything within this range right here is only going to go darker. So anything within this lighter range right here, I can add these like small graduations of color. So this dark right here that was falling right here was the same as right here. I had this line going right here, and I think it came up right here if I remember right. And it was down to about the 50% gray or so. Then all of this right here was in the lighter area that I didn't have any color, so I was able to take it down just a couple values to create all of this detail in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue adding a little bit more detail. Going to add some of the cracks that are within the skull. I forget what they're called, but they're basically where the skull fuses together at. So I'm going to add some of those just like right here. Let's just go ahead and start drawing now. So I'm going to pull some of this value out right here, so that looks more like it's blending in. I probably have too hard of a line right here, to be honest with you, but that's all right. I gotta get rid of this keyboard, it's kind of in my way. Drawing on my desk here. Alright, so doesn't look like anybody's chiming in so far. Alright. Oh well, I can always talk to myself for a little while we're going. Okay, so we're gonna have shape in right here. That's gonna just go a little bit darker right here. Just kind of work some of these values in. And I got a notification from Amazon today saying that my new tripod has shipped. So it's saying that I should get that later this week. So hopefully I can get one. I hope it turns out to be pretty decent. It sits up a little bit higher, because this one just drives me crazy. See, so on these edges, all I do, I mean, these are my famed Prismacolor pencils that I use. So to get a real nice soft blend, I just draw these like tiny little circles, and that's going to obliterate that hard line right there, and it kind of creates a core shadow on it. I was going to stream earlier today around 1:15 or so. I mean, it's already 2 o'clock, but I was planning on streaming around 1:15, and just kind of got busy with work. And next thing I knew, it was already 1:30. So I ran and grabbed me some lunch and just tried to hurry and eat pretty quick. And by the time I got back, it was already 2 o'clock. Like, the day started off really slow, and then it just like flew by. All right, see, so here you can kind of see how it's just kind of blending down. There we go. All right, I think I'm going to add some of these fractures. So what I'm going to do is, in this light side right here, I'm actually going to get my sharper pencil for this one. So I had like this little mini pencil that I had sharpened on both sides, and it fell between my seat and my car, and for the life of me I can't find it now. I'm going to try to find it again later tonight, because it was one of my older Prismacolor pencils. Like, I don't think it was a 935. I'm using 935s right now, and I like them but it's a much softer tip on it than whatever the other one was. So I like that other one to draw cracks and stuff like that because it was such a hard tip to it. Alright, I like that. Now I'm going to darken this section down just a little bit more. When I draw those, I leave broken edges to it because I feel it gives it a little bit more realism than completely filling it in as a solid line. Because in nature you really don't see lines. Our minds will create lines between things, but like those cracks aren't actual just lines. They're edges that are receiving different degrees of light depending on the plane shift that it has. So some of them will have that light on there and create a value that's similar to the value hitting the skull in that direction, and the line will actually disappear. So the edges will completely shift everything around. Okay, so here I'm going to pull up a different reference. I've got a bunch of references here on my computer, and it's going to help me see different pieces. So like I can see like this hole right here. So when you use references, you don't want to just flat out copy the reference. I mean, there are some really great artists out there, and there are some artists that are only good if they have reference, because they flat out copy it. And I give them credit because like that does take a skill level on its own. I mean, there are a lot of people who can copy a photograph way better than I can. But I've also seen those same people who can copy photographs incredibly well that when they don't have a reference, they can't draw. So the best way, and this is a process that takes time, but you use your references, but you don't copy your reference. So like this skull right here, I've had some references up, but the shape of it and everything like that, I looked at it and drew it. I didn't trace over it, I didn't project it or anything like that. And then for the lighting, I was looking at an entirely different skull than the one I got the shape from. And then for like these little sections, I was looking at a different skull that was well lit, and that's how I knew where to get those from. And then I use my understanding of light and shadow to create a lot of these bumps, because like I can see them in the reference, but they're lit differently in the reference than they are on my drawing. So that way I'm not becoming a slave to the reference. You don't want to just be somebody who can copy. I mean, if you want to just copy what you've got, I mean, we've got cameras for that. So it's like when you're drawing, if all you can do is copy from a reference, your drawing's only going to be as good as the reference. So if you have a terrible reference and you're copying it, you're going to have a terrible drawing or painting or whatever medium you're doing. So it's not always best practice just to copy from reference, unless of course you're doing a study and the point is a reference, and that's all. So it depends on the outcome, but most of the time you don't want to just be copying. I always like it when I live stream here at work, because even though I have my door closed, they can kind of hear me rambling, and it sounds like I'm kind of talking to myself, which in a sense right now I absolutely am, because nobody wants to join my live stream. Nobody loves me. But it's funny, so they'll be walking by and hear me talking, and first they think I'm talking to them, so they stop, and then they realize that I'm just kind of talking to myself, and then they usually laugh about it. See, these pencils are kind of tricky too, because when you have a sharp edge, it creates this nice crisp line. But when you get more of like a blunt edge, it creates this really nice value but at the same time it kind of, because it's like a wax base or something in here for the binder, it almost creates almost like a somewhat of a glossy surface, which is kind of tricky to draw with. But given this one has a lot more dark filling it in than most of my drawings do. Alright, this is actually somewhat of a cast shadow more than a form shadow, so we're going to darken that up a little bit. Alright, here it starts to roll into a form. So the reason these teeth are looking so small is the extreme angle, but when you actually lift it up to the actual angle, they don't look so out of place. So on a few of these things, when I have the chance to save, I post these up on YouTube. So hopefully that's been helping some of you guys. I've been wanting to build my YouTube channel and get more of like a tutorial based thing. And even though these aren't like formal tutorials like I'm going to start doing, I feel like they might be able to help a few people. So hopefully they are. All right, here I'm actually wrapping. I'm drawing a series of small curved lines that follow the shape of the skull. And even when you go back and you blend into it to make it real soft, you still get some of that line direction, which will show you the direction the plane's changing. And when you're painting, you can actually do that with the brush strokes too. Alright, I like where that's going. There we go. And when you guys chime in and watch these live or even catch the replay or anything like that, if you know anybody who might be interested, feel free to share this with them. I'm working on building my Periscope following. I've only had this going for a little over a week now, and I've gotten a few followers, but it's still pretty low. And likewise, if you do YouTube and stuff like that, feel free to follow me on there too. And that way, if you happen to miss one of these things, because they delete so quickly, or lock, or whatever the thing it's called on Periscope, you'll be able to catch them on YouTube also. The downside to that is I have noticed, I was doing a stream last night, and I was in it about an hour and got a phone call, which is completely fine, other than I found that Periscope doesn't allow you to, it shuts off the recording, and it doesn't allow you to save it after that. So hopefully that's some issue that they realize and are working on getting it fixed. But I think there is some way to auto-save these things, so I need to maybe just turn that on, figure out how to do it and turn it on. I'm sure it's not too hard, I just haven't had a chance to look. I've got 3 projects I'm working on right now, and it takes about all I've got just to jump on here in between them to do a render. Alright, I kinda like how that's going. So I feel like these teeth might be a little too prominent, so to make them look a little more obvious, since you can't erase this pencil at all, it'll just smear. So when you put a line down, you need to be pretty confident about it. And then if you do what I just did, where you change your mind on it, kind of out of luck on it. So you need to work it into the drawing and make it look like it fits instead of look like an accident. So I'm going to make it very prominent that I want to show those teeth instead of try to hide it, which will be obvious that I'm trying to hide it. Work it in. And a lot of times you'll find when you do that, you still like your drawing anyway. So, okay. This one's coming up a little higher. I should have actually mapped these in a little bit better initially. Kind of going back and making second guesses on all of these things. I think it's actually showing. Alright, I think just about done with how much detail I want to put into the teeth. I hate drawing teeth so very bad. Alright, I think that'll do it. I always say that, but I never mean it. I always find something else I want to do afterwards. Alright, I need to go back to my other skull drawing and see what it looks like around the teeth. Okay, there we go. See, and all these are just little circles. That's how I go about rendering. I'll jump back and forth between circles and lines. But on these like tiny little ones that I want to blend really nice, I use circles. When I want to show direction, I'll throw in some lines. There you go. And these pencils aren't really that expensive. I mean, if you're getting like an actual art pencil like a Stettler or a brand like that, these ones aren't really any more expensive. So if you're willing to, I recommend you at least try them. I tried them and then pretty much fell in love with them immediately. And then I stopped using them for quite some time for some reason. Can't remember why. I think I used them all and went to buy some more and forgot, and I got used to my other pencil, so I just stuck with it. But then I found one kicking around my house, so I decided to try it again and started questioning why I stopped using them in the first place, because I really like them. And I try not to erase anyway, so it works out. Alright, we got about 10 more minutes left on this stream. So my day has been flying by today. It's going by so fast. I gotta go home and try to finish this painting commission that I got. And get my taxes from Comic-Con done. It's the part that I hate most about those conventions, but it's one of those necessary evil type things. Okay, so let's see, that light would be coming down, casting that shadow down there. This one's going to come down, cast a stronger shadow from right here. Even though it doesn't really matter too much. The reason is because I use different values of how dark I go in here. And even though the values are very similar, it still gives me a little bit of variation, so that's why I do that. Try to get some of that up in there, so there we go. I was on Periscope earlier today, just taking a quick browse around, and nobody was on it. Like, it's just a weird, desolate wasteland for me today. Nobody's in my stream, nobody's in anybody else's stream. I mean, given it could be the time of the day, usually I stream around 1 o'clock. I'd say probably more about 1:15 or so during the week. And now I'm coming on like a good hour later. I'm sure some of my fans probably just jumped in, noticed I wasn't online, logged right back out, but it's alright. I do like the replay feature on this app, it's pretty cool. That's actually where I catch most of my videos at, like when I'm watching other people. It's usually in the replay. As much as I enjoy watching them live, time rarely permits me to do that unless I have it going while I'm working. Usually it's just something I've got to do. Catch the replay while I'm eating dinner or something like that. Sometimes take my kids to the park and watch a replay there too. The only downside to that is this app eats up my battery so fast that I usually can't watch too much of it without getting a warning that my battery's low. For any of you guys that are interested in seeing more of my work, more of my finished stuff, because this is mainly just some quick sketches and whatnot, you can go to my website, artworkbyadam.com. You can also catch me on pretty much every social media out there. Some I'm more active on than others. I'm very active on Instagram, so you can catch me there. And I'm on Facebook quite often. Facebook's one of my least favorite social medias, but it's where pretty much everybody hangs out at, so I just kind of naturally migrate over there too. It's where most people interact with me at. So if it's not Instagram, it's Facebook usually. I'm not saying Facebook's bad by any means. I just feel like it's like one of those that you log into and you spend hours just scrolling through nothing instead of working on trying to get better at art. You just scroll, mindlessly scroll for hours and hours. Next thing you know, you're behind on your work, you've wasted all this time, you've missed out on going to the park or any of that kind of stuff, and next thing you know, you've spent 2 hours just scrolling through nothing. I don't know if you guys feel the same way about it like I do, but that's pretty much my opinion on it. That's how I feel. So this isn't really important down here. I'm just going to add some scribbles just so it's not casting light on my drawing. Alright, there we go. That's all I'm going to do. Alright guys, that's probably about all I'm going to do for now. So maybe just add a little bit more core shadow there. I can see that line way too prominent still. I'll probably put a little bit more time onto that. Whether I stream it or not, I'm not sure. It all depends on time. But here's this. And if you've made it through the stream, throw up a few hearts to let me know that you made it through it. And I will bring you another stream hopefully soon. So hopefully you guys like that. And on that note, I think I'm going to call it. So talk to you guys all soon. Over and out.